Egypt reaffirms its unwavering support for the UNRWA. UNRWA Commissioner General praises Egypt's crucial role in delivering aid to the Gaza Strip. And the Lebanese president calls on the US to pressure Israel to withdraw from Lebanese territories.
والله العظيم ولا حبة رز، والله العظيم ولا حبة عدس. ما فيش أكل، ما فيش شرب، عندي بنت سنتين ونص صارت تصدم.
These were the headlines, the news in detail. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has declared Gaza's famine to be entirely man-made and a direct result of Israeli occupation. At a press conference with UNRWA's Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini, Abdulati firmly rejected any attacks on UNRWA and denounced alternatives as abject failures. He reaffirmed Egypt's unwavering support for UNRWA, holding the international community accountable for dwindling aid. The Egyptian Foreign Minister stressed that Israel's intransigence is a major barrier to peace and reiterated Egypt's opposition to Israel's expansionist policies and use of starvation as a weapon. He emphasized Egypt's constant efforts to keep the Rafah crossing open for aid, noting Gaza's daily need for at least 700 trucks, and urged Israel to accept the Witkoff proposal endorsed by Hamas. UNRWA Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini has declared that famine in Gaza is now a grim reality, blaming Israel for crossing all red lines. Speaking in Cairo alongside Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati, Lazzarini called for an immediate ceasefire, stressing that detainees cannot be released without it and that this is UNRWA's top priority. He demanded the lifting of restrictions on humanitarian organizations and praised Egypt's crucial role in delivering aid. He warned that UNRWA's dire financial situation has forced program cuts and described the lack of international response as shocking. Lazzarini also commended journalists and aid workers in Gaza, highlighting the heavy price they pay to report and provide relief. Palestinian medical sources reported that 41 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli occupation forces' fire since dawn today. Nasser Medical Complex in the Gaza Strip stated that 3 Palestinians were killed as a result of an Israeli drone strike targeting Palestinian on Gamal Abdel Nasser Street in central Khan Yunis. And for more analysis, we now move to Hani Saif in our newsroom. To you, Hani.
Thank you, Mona. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined from Cairo by Al-Ahram Managing Editor, Mr. Mohammed Azzuddin. Mr. Azzuddin, welcome to Q News. How severe will the impact be of the escalation of Israel's ground operations on the civilian population in Gaza?
Thank you for having me. Of course, it is a catastrophic escalation that will lead to things getting worse and a new phase of the Israeli strikes on the civilians in the Gaza Strip. In addition to continuing the starvation policy and the displacement, even leaving from their houses and the tents and destroying all the buildings they used to live in and just displacing them towards the unknown, which the people in Gaza call the road to death. And so today the occupation forces declared a decision for the Palestinians to move to Qnews, and only a small number of civilians actually listened, who are very tired even to fight or to stand their place because of lack of humanitarian aid and food and everything. And of course things will only get worse in the Gaza Strip, and I don't think that the Israeli government really cares about letting the detainees free, but they only care about taking more land and taking control over more land and starving and killing the civilians.
Well, which international laws regulate the uninspected evacuations in active conflict areas?
Of course, the international laws and the UN make sure to keep the sovereignty of the states, and there is an international agreement for the borders that cannot be crossed just because of some statements from some individuals who just want to kill the people and the civilians. There are border agreements that don't allow the civilians to be displaced towards other areas. This is the first thing, and in addition to that, the international border agreements prohibits any civilians from entering legally without having the necessary papers to enter this country. And so, of course, what Netanyahu is talking about is just not. It is unprecedented, and it is really weird, and we haven't seen anything like this before. What's happening is just pure chaos, and trying to justify killing the people and starving them. And so Egypt rejects the displacement of the Palestinians and the Gaza Strip, and rejects settling the Gaza case just like this, and keeps on asking again and again for Israel to withdraw from the Gaza Strip, from the West Bank, and from Jerusalem as well.
Yes. Well, sir, Mr. Ezzeddine, to what extent can the Witkoff proposal realistically halt the violence and facilitate humanitarian assistance?
The problem here is that the American side, in addition to the two mediators, Egypt and Qatar, offered some solutions that can be implemented actually, and the leaders of Hamas accepted the largest number possible of these conditions so that we can reach a ceasefire agreement. But the problem here is Israel. That stands in the way and acting as an obstacle any trials to reach an agreement, either by changing the people who are in control and excluding them from the negotiations, so that it's only up to him to decide how we are moving forward. And so this is this doesn't comply at all with the political rules, and it also breaches the humanitarian rules. It is unprecedented. He doesn't respect the sovereignty of states, and it is also considered a war crime against the civilians. And so this is not only about reaching an agreement. Egypt has offered a lot of solutions, and and Hamas has already accepted, but Israel always has to stand as an obstacle, in addition to the Israeli occupation army that keeps on having military operations to fail these.
Why is the prompt establishment of a ceasefire essential for securing the detainee releases, at least, and delivering aid as a response or a reaction to the requests of the Israeli population?
Yes, of course, a ceasefire is a main. It is a main thing for and the people of Gaza keep asking for it, and it was accepted international from Egypt, Qatar, and even the USA that has even proposed some solutions, either the Witkoff proposal or the proposals from the Arab and Islamic countries, in addition to Egypt's support and efforts, also Qatar's efforts. So if we don't reach a ceasefire, this will keep on happening. The military operations will keep on happening. That Israel has been getting ready for more than a month, and now the soldiers that they are getting them ready. We will start a new military escalations maybe by tomorrow morning with all these soldiers. They will displace the people. They will take the land by force. They will keep on starving. So a ceasefire is very, very important, even before the meetings that are to happen this month. And also we need some pressure from the USA to pressure Israel and to put an end to this. This is unprecedented.
Yes. Mr. Ezzedine, we've witnessed the foreign minister's press conference addressing UNRWA. Now, how significant is Egypt's backing of UNRWA in mitigating the crisis in Gaza?
Of course, the UNRWA is playing a very crucial role. They have experience that they have had over years. They have people, helpers on an international and professional level, and they are being neutral. They are doing very good progress, but the Israeli occupation doesn't want to help the Palestinians, even if it was humanitarian aid. And Egypt forcefully supports the UNRWA and any international organizations that work towards peace and ceasefire, either on a humanitarian level or on a medical level. They also have been offering humanitarian aid to Gaza. This is what the UNRWA spokesman said in his meeting with the foreign minister Abdel Auti, and he also they talked about Egypt's role in also Egypt opening the Rafah crossing while Israel didn't, and they have been blocking the aid from entering from the Abu Salam crossing and just sending the aid back to Egypt, and closing the corridor on Fridays and Saturdays to increase the dire situation in Gaza. And so from the Red President and USA's support and organizations need to take a stand, and they need to start taking action after Israel's government failed, and also the humanitarian Gaza organization to offer the aid and the medical attention to the Palestinian people and the Gaza Strip, and also killing those who are going to get aid.
Yes. One final question. So what are the potential effects or repercussions or results that Egypt's planned reconstruction conference can have on Gaza's long-term recovery?
It has been very hopeful under any circumstances, but it is fighting for the rights of the Palestinian people and for the case to keep on and the rights of the Palestinians going back to their land, reconstructing their city, either on the West Bank or other areas, and also making sure to reach a ceasefire and stopping the atrocities towards the unarmed civilians in Gaza, in addition to its absolute refusal to just close the Palestinian case by just displacing the Palestinians out of their land. Egypt refuses to take part in this.
Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, from Cairo, that was Mr. Mohammed Ezzedine, Al-Ahram Managing Editor. Mr. Ezzedine, thank you very much for joining us here on Q News. Now we go back to Mona Msalhi in our studio. Mona.
And thank you so much, Hani, for the analysis. And now back to our bulletin. The Israeli military warned Palestinians in Gaza City to leave for the south before bombing a high-rise tower as its forces advance deeper into the enclave's largest urban area. Israeli military spokesperson Avichai Adrai wrote on X that residents should leave the city for a designated coastal area of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza, assuring those fleeing that they would be able to receive food, medical care, and shelter there. New opinion poll conducted by Israeli newspaper Ma'arif revealed that 46% of Israelis believe the chances of subduing Hamas are slim compared to 38% who see them as high. The poll also indicated that 52% of Israelis support the formation of an official inquiry committee into the events of October 7th and consider it the right thing to do. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continues to reject any proposals to end the Gaza war and secure the release of detainees, prioritizing his political survival. Former Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi and military leaders urged a one-step deal to free all detainees, enabling a decisive military victory over Hamas afterwards. However, Netanyahu dismissed this as a defeat and blocked the plan, opting instead for a phased hostage release, only partially implemented. Meanwhile, Israeli forces launched a new large-scale Gaza invasion. The Palestinian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has emphasized that diplomacy is essential to protect civilians and establish Palestinian-Arab consensus on Gaza's future. It warned of escalating dangers threatening Palestinian lives amid intensified Israeli aggression in Gaza. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry condemned Israel's systematic expansion of destruction targeting homes, towers, and all aspects of life in Gaza City, highlighting the severe humanitarian crisis caused by the ongoing military escalation. The Jordanian government has reaffirmed its unwavering stance on the Palestinian cause, emphasizing the inalienable legal and humanitarian right of return for Palestinians. It condemned the forced displacement as a war crime against humanity and warned against ongoing violations and attempts to erase Palestinian rights. Jordan declared its position a line of fire against any forced displacement efforts, pledging steadfast support for Palestinian freedom and statehood with East Jerusalem as its capital, in line with international law and UN resolutions. Gaza-based health authorities have announced that the death toll from Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip has climbed to over 64,300 and over 162,300 others wounded. Gaza-based health authorities have reported that Israeli military operations in Gaza had killed 68 Palestinians and injured more than 362 others in the past 24 hours. Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, warned that the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip is heading towards an unprecedented catastrophe if the intense Israeli military operations witnessed in part of the Gaza Strip over the past week continue. In a statement published on the organization's official website, Ghebreyesus explained that more than 15,000 patients in Gaza are in need of specialized and urgent medical care, including around 3,800 children. He added that over the past month, more than 100 cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome, a condition that can lead to paralysis, have been recorded, resulting in 11 deaths. He noted that the organization is making intensive efforts to evacuate patients in need of emergency treatment outside Gaza.
Volumes of aid need to come in to rebuild critical reserves.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
And to Lebanon, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun emphasized the importance of continued U.S. support for the army to enable it to carry out its duties. During his meeting with U.S. Central Command Commander Brad Cooper, Aoun called on the United States to pressure Israel to withdraw from Lebanese territories. The Lebanese Hezbollah has viewed the Lebanese cabinet's recent endorsement of the army's plan to monopolize arms as a chance to return to wisdom and restraint, aiming to prevent the country's descent into uncertainty. Hezbollah official Mahmoud Qammati welcomed the government's conditional progress on the U.S. proposal linking it to Israeli actions. Hezbollah rejects disarmament but expects the government to adopt a national security strategy. The Lebanese cabinet expressed support for the army's disarmament plan without setting a timeline acknowledging the military's limits capacity in this area. This cautious stance reflects ongoing tensions surrounding Hezbollah's armed status within Lebanon. Lebanese Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri has praised the Lebanese Army's military plan to centralize weapons under state control. In press remarks, Berri emphasized that the initiative helps preserve civil peace, describing the developments as positive. He noted that the toxic winds of division are beginning to subside, signaling hope for national stability and unity through this approach. Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam has affirmed that the cabinet's decisions are clear and leave no room for misinterpretation. He emphasized there will be no retreat regarding the monopoly on weapons. Salam confirmed the government's commitment to extending state authority using its own forces, in line with the resolutions of the August 5th session. This stance underscores Lebanon's firm determination to enforce state sovereignty and control over arms without compromise.
We're trying to make a deal so that there's no destruction and death.
Russia's representative to the international organizations in Vienna, Mikhail Yulianov, has announced that the IAEA Board of Governors will meet next Monday with Iran's nuclear files as the main agenda. That comes as Iran's permanent delegate Reza Najafi confirmed the start of a new negotiation round between Iran's delegation and the IAEA officials. Najafi explained that these talks continue previous consultations and aim to define a new framework for bilateral cooperation aligned with current Iranian parliamentary legislation. The discussions focus on shaping future relations amid ongoing scrutiny of Iran's nuclear program. Azerbaijan has announced the resumption of direct flights with Iran after a suspension that lasted several years. The country stated that the first direct flight on the Baku-Tabriz-Baku route has already taken off following directives from Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev. It added that in the initial phase, These flights will operate twice a week, paving the way for a new phase of direct connectivity between Iranian and Azerbaijani cities. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi criticized the West's silence regarding the expansion of Israel's nuclear program. In a post on his official account on platform X, Araghchi said that from the West's perspective, the issue is not about the existence or expansion of nuclear arsenals, but rather about who is allowed to make scientific progress, even when it comes to peaceful nuclear program.
همه همکاری‌های ما با آژانس من بعد از
And moving on to Cairo, where the Egyptian National Elections Authority has firmly denied rumors on social media about postponing the 2025 parliamentary election candidacy opening. In a statement, the authority confirmed that the elections will proceed as scheduled by the Constitution and law. The board is currently preparing the procedural and timeline schedule for the electoral process. Once finalized, a press conference will announce the official call for the voters' candidacy opening dates and all election stages until results declaration. The authority urged the public to rely on official sources for accurate information and avoid spreading false rumors. Moving on to Sudan, where the Sudanese army aircraft bombed rapid support forces positions in Samima, Qazqil, and Bara city in northern Kordofan. This operation is part of an extensive military campaign conducted by the Sudanese army over several weeks, primarily targeting areas in West and North Kordofan states. The offensive reflects the ongoing conflict between the army and paramilitary forces, highlighting intensified efforts to regain control and stabilize the region. Russian President Vladimir Putin urged aerospace industry leaders to press on with efforts to develop booster rocket engines for space launch vehicles and build on Russia's long-standing reputation as a leader in space technology. Putin noted Russian success in developing innovations in terms of producing engines, particularly in the energy sector, despite the imposition of sanctions by Western countries linked to Moscow's 2022 invasion of Ukraine.
Поднять еще и Ми-34, ну и К-226. По сути, мы заменили этим двигателем самолетную версию и делаем с вертолетной. Вертолетный это К-62, двигатель будет сертифицирован.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that Ukraine would continue to respond to Russian attacks on its energy facilities. During a joint news conference with Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico, Zelenskyy said Ukraine responds to Russia's attacks on our energy facilities and will keep doing so.
Європа повинна припинити отримувати енергоресурси від Росії.
That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here is what we've been covering. Egypt reaffirms its unwavering support for UNRWA. UNRWA Commissioner General praises Egypt's crucial role in delivering aid to the Gaza Strip. And the Lebanese president calls on the US to pressure Israel to withdraw from Lebanese territories. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Q News EGY to stay informed. Many thanks for watching and good night.